Hey guys, how you doing? This is Craig here from Bass Lessons Melbourne. Welcome to another player profile episode, and for today I'm joined by Pete Martin. Pete, how are you, man?
Hey mate.
You good?
Good to see you. I'm good, thanks
too.
you.
Thanks for taking time out to hang with me today.
No problem.
I know time on the road is busy and hectic.
Yeah. Especially when you've got a 11-hour time difference?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The minute is about
Yeah,
11 hours.
yeah.
So you're down here in Australia with Kamaal Williams.
Yes, right, yeah.
Yeah, how's that been?
It's been great. It's been good fun.
Yeah?
Good fun, yeah. So getting the whole experience of working down here. It's been well received. Gigs are sold out.
Wow.
Punters have been fantastic. Local crews have been fantastic. The venues and all the gear's been fantastic. So, it's been great.
You've had some fun playing some gigs.
Yeah.
So you started off in Sydney, or?
Yes, the tour started in Sydney, yeah.
So was that the Foundry or the 30606 or something like that?
Playing in Sydney. In the venue, I can't remember the venue. Did I know what the name of the venue was? Right.
Small, big, club?
It was a club-sized venue. I don't know, maybe a few hundred.
Yeah.
A few hundred, maybe like 400 or 500 or something like that.
Okay.
Smallish, I guess, yeah.
And it was pretty packed?
Yeah. And well received, they were kind of well up for it.
Yeah. Is this part of a bigger tour that you guys are doing, or?
Well, we were on the road in we did a European stint just recently, and that's just straight after. This is straight after that.
Okay.
So
was it kind of tagged on later on? Because it hasn't been.
No, there wasn't much of a gap. It was kind of and actually, I think the Australia dates were on the cards for a while.
Right.
And then the tour emerged sort of. Around and before it, and sort of just the dates started getting added. But the Australia thing was always on the cards, really. So it didn't get tagged on as much as the tour probably got attached onto it as the other way around.
That's cool.
Yeah.
There's definitely a scene for this kind of music down here. And as much as it's definitely got old school roots. It's appealing to a young audience. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Yeah,
There's a lot of kind of 20
year old that is definitely the case. That is definitely the case. I mean, occasionally we'll get the odd person who kind of knows about thing, and they'll say, "Oh yeah, that reminds me of Herbie Hancock," and
correct.
Yeah. Or it reminds us of George Duke, or it reminds of Weatherport or something. But it's great because I've been around long enough to see when it was hip and when it wasn't hip anymore, and then became hip again.
What do you think it is? Why do you think it has had a bit of this vibe, this instrumental?
I think it's because we went through a period where we were playing lots of. It's kind of to do with the whole Spotify generation. Kids, people that kind of grew up listening to their music on YouTube or what have you, and then the accessibility of music and going into having your laptop and just having your garage band and whatever, and sitting down with your laptop and your and your Fruity Loops or what have you, and just programming up and writing songs, and a lot of the production, that's how a lot of the electronic scene sort of grew through that just exponentially than any other area. So there were lots of people who developed and were producing their music that way because it's. Well, firstly, it's a lot cheaper. You can sit down and just get your programs, and there's been some great music that way. But I think it like anything, it comes in waves. And if you get saturation, people start looking for something else.
Yeah.
So I think what's happened is people there was the whole sort of sitting down and programming and doing that kind of stuff and listening back to the music, but the performance element, that's the element that was missing. That you can put your stuff out, get it all out there, and people can hear it on YouTube, on Spotify, get it out there easy enough. But when it came to actually performing it, people want to see a performance.
People want to connect.
Yeah, they want to connect. They want a performance. They want they want the sense of occasion that comes with going to watch a gig. And electronic music and that kind of music doesn't serve itself particularly well to that.
Yeah, it's hard to make it engaging unless you
to make that
stage production.
Right.
And stuff.
So I think what's happened is you've got people started picking up instruments again and going on YouTube with their instruments, and I think that's how that they people, you know, these same kids, some of these people are still using the same methods of getting the music out there, but they're, instead of showing that they're producing something, it became about them, the performance,
right,
than the actual, you know, as much as it was the music itself. So they could. Then you had bands like Snarky Puppy, for example, who I think they made a big impact in the sense that they put their stuff on YouTube and then it just sort of just blew up.
And they in a sense, they kind of made it okay.
Yeah, to like that kind of music.
Yeah, to be an instrumental jazz band.
Yeah, and this the whole idea of the instrumental thing. I mean, the whole thing's never been gone. It's always been there. Have been people playing instrumental jazz for a long time.
But not selling out thousand capacity venues and stuff like Snarky Puppy.
Yeah. So I can remember when I went and saw Snarky at Coco's in London, and I couldn't believe the crowd that was there. Yeah. And they were all young people that went to this. So they're probably younger people that didn't have that live music experience. Yeah. And I mean, a lot of the criticism, but it might be levelled at bands like this. Oh yeah, we've seen all that before. Or, you should have seen this. You should have seen that. Yeah. But for this generation, this is what they're seeing.
Well, when I saw them play at the Forum in Melbourne, big place in Forum in Melbourne, one of the songs has this synth melody. And the whole audience was singing it.
I know you said, I know you mean,
And I was like, this is like Weather Report for
today's generation.
They're like rock stars of now. Yeah. Which is what Weather Report were.
At that time,
and stuff. So like, it makes sense.
Yeah. You know? And I thought we'd never see. I thought those days were gone. I've seen that sort of that many people kind of being into like instrumental music that was quite sophisticated, and you know, because a lot of the music, I mean, actually, a lot of the electronic music is very sophisticated, but then you have them, like, as I say, you don't have the performance element of it. You've just got the guys producing it. If you go and see guys doing it, what they can do with a laptop and press play and do, it's not the same thing. Whereas when you see something like Snarky Puppy, it's much more organic in the sense that, or any live band, you know, Robert Glasper and the crowd and all the splinter things that come off of Snarky Puppy as well, is that you're seeing a bunch of guys doing it in real time. Now. Yeah. You know, that's the thing. Yeah, and they're
your age, essentially. It's not 50, 60-year-old guys.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a bit of that, there's a bit of hip hop and there's a bit of gospel in there.
Right,
as well,
exactly. So they're bringing the modern music but playing real instruments. And there's also something about the experience of people connecting and communicating that's, I think there's a kind of a slightly intangible quality that's not captured with a machine. Yeah. You know, and the machine can replay it and what have you, but there's something about the being in a space and the unconscious collective, if you like, of being having that experience. It's like when you go to any kind of thing where there's people come together, they all connect, whether it's with a common purpose. They've all come to watch this gig. Sport or anything, or a political cause or whatever. People go to the thing there together, and we're all together where we've got this commonality. So you're playing this music, even if you've got go and watch DJs, and it's the same sort of thing, but you don't see that it's one person you're watching, whereas if you're watching a band, it's in a group of people playing this music and communicating, and then conveying that communication to the audience, who then feed it back to the band, who then who feed off of that, and you get this whole sort of...
And how does that work with Kamaal Williams?
Very much exactly like that. Very much exactly like that.
Yeah, I saw last night there was a lot of like...
It probably works more like that than most people. Yeah. To be honest, because we kind of there's tunes. Yeah. But and you know, in a lot of ways we wouldn't even like to call it jazz necessarily, but it does have the jazz, the idea of jazz in the sense that you go up and you've got a form, and then within that. The parameters of that form, we can go wherever. Yeah. You know, which is exactly. Communicate. Yeah, and communicate. And if it goes that way, and that person decides to say that, then we'll go, really? Okay, let's talk about that. Or we want to go here, let's go there, let's go. And sometimes it can go wherever, but within the parameters, let's say that that tune, you know, that piece. These might be the chords. The chords might go somewhere else, and more so on this than it would even on. Jazz gigs, you know. Yeah. So, it definitely borrows that kind of philosophy for this gig. and that makes it interesting for the audience, because sometimes the audience, one of the things they enjoy, I think makes them feel part of the process, is that they're standing there going, oh, I can see these, are these guys, are
they making this up?
Yeah, and they're making this up, they're kind of like, they're just going, oh, what's he going to do, the drummers, you can see, you can look at the musicians, you can see, he's looking at him and he's looking at him and he's going, well, what's going on? And it makes them feel like they're involved.
Taking each other on.
Yeah, and almost like they're doing the gig, almost like they're doing the gig themselves. They're actually watching it and going, what's going to happen next? And they're involved with the process. So they feel that happens at that point in time, that's not going to happen again. And often does happen. There's things that we recorded the gigs, and there's things that we play that we've never played before and may never play again. And
that's cool.
Yeah, and that's cool. That's the...
Because then if somebody comes to see you again, it's not the same show.
Yeah, it's definitely not the same show. Yeah. Definitely not the same. You might recognise the elements of it, but that's not what they did yesterday. No. What about that bit when they did this? Even stuff that happened, we've got Andy Fissenden has joined us here for the Australia leg. And there was a part that we did a show, not last night before, and he goes, oh, I came in at this point and I didn't know what would, and I said, don't worry, that's never happened before. What about the part where I didn't know, I wasn't sure what to do, so I'd never heard, and I said, don't worry. Yeah.
He still sounds good, let's be honest.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Yeah. I think in some ways you've got someone of that level of ability. You see, the thing is, when you see guys of that level of ability playing, they're usually well rehearsed, well done, and you think, okay, this is what they've sat in the studio and practiced.
It's not going to be wrong, it's just going to be a different flavour of what it has been.
But it's interesting seeing somebody of that level to see what they do and what they come up with creatively on the spot. Yeah. And they just go, right, okay, we're not playing in our comfort zone. Yeah. That's the thing, is, if we're not playing in a place where we're just going, oh yeah, we know what's going to happen next, you do this, I do that. It's not like that. We're playing on the edge of it. Sometimes we're stepping out of our comfort zone, because there are times when, okay, you're playing, don't make this fall apart. Yeah. Hold it together. Don't lose your cool. This is how it goes. Watch each other, play something, be involved, be engaged. Yeah. Don't sort of go, I don't know what's going on. This is how it goes really, and stand back and just try and play your part and hide in there.
Yeah, it was great to see Andy just no holds barred kind of thing.
Yeah. And he was doing his thing, and then because he's rising to the occasion now. Because at first he was like, but now this is that was, that's his third gig. Only 3 gigs in. Yeah. So he was like, by now he goes, okay, now I know. But even then he's kind of not, but he's still, okay, remove the idea of knowing what you're doing necessarily and having it prescribed. Okay, there's to some degree it's prescribed, but then he thinks, okay, now I'm going to grasp this. This is what I'm going to do with this.
Trust your practice and trust your ears.
Trust yourself.
And trust your bandmates.
Yeah, and trust the music. Yeah. Trust your ability, and that's when you put it to the tech and going, and you're doing it in front of the punters who have paid to see you.
That's it. Yeah.
So don't lose your. Just keep it cohesive, and at the same time, go with the flow of what other people are doing.
How did you kind of develop that style of performance? Because it's one thing to be able to play, a pocket or a groove, but it's another thing to be able to be flexible, to go anywhere, improvise, blow, adopt different roles. Like you were kind of doing some guitar elements last night, some synthy bass elements. Yeah. So what was your path towards having that skill set as opposed to kind of, just a regular bass player? If you.
I think having just being musically open. That's going to be the grounding of that, because if you're listening to lots of different music, and when you listen to music, you listen to different parts. As bass players, once upon a time you listen to your bass part, but these days,
especially when you're young and starting out.
Yeah. But these days, we listen to all the parts. Yeah. We listen to what the keys are doing. We listen to what we're transcribing horn lines. We're doing, guys like Jaco broke that mold. Way back.
Playing melodies.
Playing melodies and turned it into melodic instruments. Stanley Clarke and the like. They all turned it into something else, so that became the bar. Now everybody plays Donnelly, everybody plays Teen Town, everybody plays, Chords, School Days and all that. Everybody does that, So I think that's one aspect of it. So, but in terms of my personal experience and playing, if I had to compare this to a gig that I'd done before, I would say Courtney Pine's gig was probably the one that kind of made me be comfortable in that situation.
Yeah.
Because he was very much, again, because he's a jazz musician.
Yeah.
So it was a jazz gig, you know, but he also had elements of lots of different things. So we would be playing drum and bass or whatever we were doing at the time.
Yeah,
and
it was kind of like around that time, like Ronnie Size.
That's right. Yes, he had a lot of Full Hero
and
and those kinds of guys. He was involved with. Yeah, so we'd be just, you know, he's a monster, and when you got somebody that's that confident and that good basically, and he says let's go, you just have to go.
That's it.
It's like you coming with me or you going home? What are you gonna do? You know. So you think, okay, here we go.
You really had to kind of step up.
So you just got to step up. That's basically what you do, you know. And he'll just turn to you and it'll be that. Oh, we're going here, we're going there, and it was a massive leap in my development in that time. So it made me think of things in a different way. It made me have the confidence to kind of go up and go, right, okay, this is what we're doing. This is what you're playing, and you know. And then of course you've practiced as well. You've sat at home. You've like I say, you've sat there and you've pored over that Michael Brecker line or whatever you've done to try and to learn it and try to articulate it as best you can. So you're developing your technique, developing your ears, and you just want a chance to use it. You know, and you get an opportunity to use it, and so you take it. You know, that's what you do.
So it's like that combination of opportunity meeting preparation.
Yeah. I mean, you know, that's, you get a chance to play. You know, you do your prep and you sit down and you think, okay, I've done all this work, so, and here's the chance. You know, so you kind of develop that, and with Courtney, I was with Courtney for what, 3.5 years thereabouts, and that's the way you played all the time. So, you know, you develop that kind of that playing, and it develops over time, and then of course you come to a situation like this. I mean, of course I went into the pop world as well, which was completely the opposite of that. Yeah. But coming back to this, that's where I think it doesn't faze me as it might faze.
Would you say this is more of your natural voice as a player, or is it still a little bit out of your comfort zone?
I like it being a bit out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I like that because that keeps you interested.
Sure.
You know, if you're just playing things where it's just scripted every day, and you're playing, you can forget why you started doing this. You know, you can easily forget. You can be playing away, and and the months, the years can go by, and you just don't remember. You know, and then you know, there were times you can go for
it's just like autopilot.
Yeah, and then you'll go for years. You don't even practice because
you don't have to.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
You know, you just do what's required, and you might read the odd chart here and there. You might get called to do the odd gig here and there. But
and you're like, whoa.
and you're like, and then you'll kind of go, okay, I've got to remember, you know, and do whatever. But you know, it's good to be out of your comfort zone. Yeah. It's good for that, you know. It's good.
So you've obviously studied a little bit somewhere.
Somewhere a bit, yeah. I kind of studied. I didn't go to. I remember at the time I auditioned and got into university, but I was already working by then.
Right. Is this in London?
Yeah.
Right.
I was already working, and the person auditioning me, who's a well respected educator in these things, he said to me, "Great, if you want to come, you can come if you want, but you'll learn a lot more out there doing what you're doing."
Right.
He was just straight with me. He just said, "So it's up to you." So I was stuck with this. I was like,
You're like, but that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. This is what he said. He goes, you can come if you want, but you'll learn a lot more with the stuff that you're doing. You'll learn a lot more doing that stuff, being out and about, which is what he said. Whether he was right or not, I don't know. But of course at that time I had a family as well.
Right.
Yeah. So
how old were you?
At that time I was I was in my 20s.
Okay.
About 26, 27, something like that.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't 19, 20.
Yeah, exactly.
So you were kind of self-taught up until this point?
Yeah. I mean, in as much as I did go and go to places to be with other people who are much, more experienced than myself. So I did have piano lessons, mostly to try and get an idea of how stuff went together, and I briefly had some double bass lessons as well, to kind of get my head around that, because I've got a double bass and I had a double bass given to me, so I thought, I'll take the opportunity to do that. And of course you go around to various places, various workshops and what have you, and hook up with other musicians and other people, but I didn't go to enroll on a course at university.
Private tutor?
Yeah, just tutors. Yeah, just a few tutors. Yeah. But they weren't electric bass guitar tutors.
Other musicians?
Yeah, they were the piano, and double bass, some double bass. Yeah.
So what drew you to the bass?
Well, it was just the instrument to play, really, and growing. It was the cool.
We all know that.
Yeah, but we all know that, but more so because in the background, in the area that I came from, the kind of music I was listening to when I was growing up, I'm of Jamaican heritage, so the bass was always so loud. Yeah, straight away. So my dad's Trojan records, I was just watching them, I was listening to them, and the bass is just, so that's what I grew up with, before I started.
So you thought all the bass all the time was
yeah. So by the time you hit 12 years old, and you see the older kids, and they're going, they're playing their music, and they're going to sound systems or whatever, going to parties or whatever. You're trying to get into the parties anyway. The bit that everybody jumps around to is the bass line. It's all about the bass line. It's all about that. It's nothing. You've got the drums and everything. It's as if the whole record is designed to make the bass sound good. You know what I mean? It's like it's all about that. So it was a no-brainer for me. It was just your ear just went to that, and what made that sound? Then I want to do that.
Yeah.
And then a kid came to school one day with a bass guitar when I was about 12.
Yeah.
About 12, yeah. And it was just a love affair from then, really.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it just never went away. Yeah.
So starting out just playing along to those reggae dub records and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Getting a bass guitar, like begging and pleading and begging and pleading and begging until I got a £50 bass guitar, and just sitting in there just without an amp.
Yeah, till the fingers bleed.
Yeah, playing around, trying to hear it, trying to not know anything about action or even tuning or anything like that, and also there was a social element of it as well. That I was in my area, there were lots of people who were playing music, lots of kids in my school who played music, and it was a way in as well.
Sure.
So I managed to hook up with so many people, and that's still the case to this day. The opportunities that it's brought me. Yeah. Here I am.
You think about it, your circle of friends are probably mainly musicians.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Even some drummers.
So it kind of took me out, and I was going to play in bands, and then of course it's you're playing in school assemblies, and you're going in there, and that's the way it started. That's the way it started.
Were you kind of like the bass player at school kind of thing?
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually, when the kids above me left.
Yeah. For those last 6 months, you were the guy.
I was the guy. Yeah, I was the guy. Yeah. For exam leave.
So when did it start getting professional or serious, or like when was it like, oh yeah, this is maybe something that I want to do?
Round about that time, the time when I kind of was about to go to university, I think I just I had to just make a decision. I just had to make a decision. I was actually running around servicing computers at the time, in my day job.
What year is this approximately?
This is about 93.
Okay.
About 93, and I was just running around, sort of, and I'd always played, and I'd done the odd session here and there, been in studios a few times, done gigs and what have you. But it was time to say, right, you're going to do this or you're not going to do this. What you're going to do?
Like, what do you want to do for the rest of your life?
Because it got to a point that said, well, you're starting to play with people where there are professionals in the band, and then they were getting and the band was getting gigs, and you've got to say, well, okay, we've got a gig this day, and you're thinking, oh, then I have to take a time out.
I've got to fix that keyboard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right, exactly.
Mouse driver's not
working. Exactly. Yeah, I've got to go and sort of fix that floppy. So you'd have to go right, am I going to pull a sickie, or what am I going to do, and then it just gets and then it just gets silly.
That's always it's kind of good when that happens, because then you know it's the right thing to do. Like when you can't do what you think you meant to be doing.
Yeah.
Then that's the time to make that leap.
Yeah, that's right. You're just messing. You're just messing about then, and and also there's the guy. You've got to be serious. Not just the people that you're working for, your day job. There's the people you're working with in the band, and also the level that they were at. That some of those guys were at. And I thought, I'm not going to get to that level by getting up and going.
So you had a good opportunity to kind of.
Yeah, to kind of make that. He had a good opportunity to do that. So I kind of decided, did that, and you know, just bread and butter for, you know, the dribs and drabs over time, having an old car, throwing a gear in the car, driving off, doing the rehearsals. Yeah, exactly. Just doing that stuff and getting up and practicing because everybody else was practicing.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that
you had a really healthy music community around you.
Yeah, in London it was good at that time. Yeah, really good at that time.
This is kind of the height of like acid jazz, would that be?
Exactly. It was that time.
Jamiroquai.
Yeah, exactly. It was that time. Yeah, exactly. At that time. Exactly at that time.
And so was that stuff that you were like playing or into or checking out?
To some extent, because it was kind of a bit of a jazz wave. There was a bit of a like you say, the acid jazz thing that was coming around at that time. There was a lot of live music at that time.
Yeah.
Like you say, there were people like bands like Raw Stylus, and you know, and as you say, Jamiroquai. But I think Jamiroquai just signed at that time and had their first big hit. But yeah, it was a healthy time. There was a lot of it about. Lots of people out doing their thing. So I saw all these things and I saw this community, and of course there was somewhere for me to go to and be part of. So it was kind of easy, really, in that respect.
And so you're playing like 4-string, 5-string.
At that, I was into 5 strings since the 80s. I think I went to see Wayne Shorter.
Okay.
A couple of times.
No, it wouldn't mean Paratucci, was it?
The one I saw him, the first time I saw Wayne, it was Garry Willis.
Oh wow.
This is going way back in the 80s, and he was playing with Tobias 5 strings. Him and Tom Brecklin and Mitch Foreman on keys it was. Playing all that stuff from Atlantis and was it Phantom Navigator? I saw that gig. And then each bass player he had 5 strings. And I'm a Wayne Shorter nut. Okay. I'm mad at it. He's like, yeah. So and then every gig I went, and the guys had 5-string basses, you know, on the albums, and I'd hear those low notes, and I'd be like, oh no.
Anthony Jackson.
Yeah, well, he's. I kind of got into. I mean, I got into Anthony a little bit later.
Yeah.
And the Anthony Jackson thing was kind of like when I was really really trying to nail down my craft.
Yeah.
I'm really like, I've really got to nail it, and for me, Anthony Jackson was the guy who I basically tried to model myself on, and because there was all the guys who had all the chops, and there was all the guys who were groovy and funky, but Anthony Jackson somehow managed to take both those elements and excel at both of them at the same time. You could get him on a jazz date and you'd think he only does that, and then you'll get him on a funk thing or a soul and an accompany thing where he's accompanying the singer, and he will just kill it. Like
for me, he kind of like he really opened my eyes and ears as to like how to make full use of that B string. How to use it in a musical way that wasn't overpowering and stuff, and then also just that kind of playing across the bar line with fills and that kind of thing. Just so creative and like supportive in a melodic way almost as the bass line.
And also the other thing is not so much the B string but the C string. So if he would play on a record and play a 6-string, and you would never know that it was a 6-string.
No.
You know, he'd leave it alone. He'd only use things when they're necessary. Yeah. And it was just his way of just, everything was thought out. You know, just, it sounds like everything's just been thought out and it has its place and a purpose. You know, and I kind of, you know, he just epitomized the professional bass player to me.
Yeah.
You know, so he was a big influence on me, but a little bit later on.
So Anthony, Garry Willis.
Yeah, Garry Willis. When it came to buying, you know, like you get the videos talking about education. So I only had 2 of those. No, what was it 3?
Star Licks or something, or
Hot
Licks.
Yeah. So, so I had the Garry Willis. Is it Progressive Basics? There's one, and I had one that was Jeff Berlin. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, it was Jeff Berlin. Yeah. But you know, the Garry Willis one was just the one that I kind of really looked at.
Good.
It was the one I really looked at because you know he's and I've always, to this day actually, still kind of read things that Garry Willis has said and the things that he you know espouses. He's one of the best people that you could actually
study with.
Yeah, or if you get the chance to study with him, or even if you just read an interview, and he's very good at imparting real useful information.
Yeah.
You know, there's lots of them. Lots of people say stuff, but there's a couple of people in my mind that are particularly good at that, and Garry Willis is one of them.
Well, because you feel like everything that he's done and put out there is very deliberate. It's very thought.
Yeah, it's very
thought out and
thought
stuff
through.
like that. Like
Very
you don't
thought
arrive
through.
at that kind of playing just by chance. You
Yeah.
know, you can see there's a real thought
Yeah,
process.
yeah. He's a bit of a scientist in that respect, kind of like a scientist,
But musical.
but with music and
funky.
bass in particular.
Yeah.
You know, and also he's an absolute. I mean, for me, you know, when I saw him, I used to listen to all the tribal tech stuff. That there was was it Spears, the album? It was Spears. It was on the 90. It was like 1990 or something. And then there was another one that was after that called Tribal Tech with the purple with him and Scott Henderson.
The one I had was Thick.
Yeah, that's
That was maybe early 2000 or something.
Yeah. I mean, just generally, just listen to him, and he very much thought out of the box. You know, melodically, harmonically, he really was able to exploit the harmony really, really well.
Yeah.
Scott would be doing his thing, but the way Garry would exploit the harmony and move stuff around and really control.
Was that the one that had Nightclub on it?
Is that on? No. Don't know which album that is.
Remember, I had to learn that from my exam at uni.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, there's so many 16th notes.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm doing the and then you watch him play and you're like, wait, what? There's so little movement.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, well that makes
sense.
sense.
I didn't even try to copy that. I didn't even try to copy that technique, but I did sort of borrow a lot of his kind of what was possible. It made me raise my game on what was possible and how to do it, and seeing someone and seeing him do it, and the way that he spoke about it, and the way that and it was more listening to him and what he did musically. I mean, that's generally the way that I don't really worry about technique that much, at all. I think technique kind of takes care of itself, really.
You put the time in early on.
Yeah, you've got to play the music. You know, if you want to play Donnelly for argument's sake, which everybody does, then if you want Donnelly to be Donnelly, your technique has to develop in order to do that. By necessity, your technique will develop. Otherwise, you're not playing Donnelly. If you can play Donnelly, then you've got technique. You know, so it kind of takes care of it. So I don't really worry about technique as much. I mean, if you look at someone like Pat Metheny, he's got the craziest technique ever, and look what he does. You can't talk about, so the kind of technique. I mean, yes, you can have exercises and what have you. Do what you feel, but really, the best thing for technique is actually playing music.
Fair enough.
Yeah. You know. But Garry Willis was one that made me think a lot about when I said hear him, and so I didn't so much think about his technique as much in that whole picking thing.
Yeah.
It was just the way he heard the music and what he thought was possible with a chord and moving the way he moves the roots around and rhythmically, that whole thing, and his articulation and his just lyricism. It was just he was a big one.
It didn't make you get a fretless.
I played fretless from about. But it was Jacko that was
about
influenced.
6:30 to 8:30. That was my fretless career.
Really? Actually, I had I bought this when I was about 15. I had this bass and I played so much I knackered the frets, and I knackered them out.
That's practice.
But they were, it's probably the frets are probably not great, but I knackered frets out, and of course, I'm saying that to us, but I did knacker them out anyway. And of course, I just pulled them out.
Of course.
But if
Jacko did it, right?
Jacko did it, so I just went and carried on playing it. And then after that, I bought a fretless. I actually bought it. So I played frets for about 5 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. About 5 years as a teenager. Probably all over the place, going all over the shop, but
no lights.
Yeah.
What, a couple of beers.
Yeah.
We're playing this in C sharp.
Yeah. Exactly. I bet there was a lot of that going on in my mind. I'm like, it was great, but yeah. But and then it was shortly after that I started using 5 strings.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, what was your kind of break? I guess what was the moment where you kind of thought, cool, I'm on another rung on the ladder kind of thing? Was it the Courtney Pine gig, or has it just been like a kind of gradual? It
was a gradual thing. The thing is that I think Courtney's gig was the first gig that took up most of my time.
Right.
Up to that point, I was doing projects. Someone would there'd be some project somewhere, or some artist would be coming from wherever, or someone would find some money from somewhere, and then I'd get involved in that.
So you were kind of sessioning for acts and names.
Yeah, different people, mostly small things, just kind of like, you know, like someone got some kind of arts council funding here, or we were doing a workshop there, or someone would have something here and there, or there'd be a theatre gig here, or just little small projects, or I'd go and do you know, there'll be club nights where it'd be like a hip hop thing from one, and then there'll be a live band, and I'll be part of that live band.
Oh, great! We're on at 3 a.m.
Yeah. A lot of that, and of course a lot of jumping in the back of vans and driving up to wherever to play at covers or whatever.
Glasgow, you ever make it up?
I'll probably
north
do.
of the
Yeah,
border?
yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, definitely, and yeah. So we kind of, you know, there was a lot of that, and but Courtney came along, and that was the gig that kind of I had to start turning down. I think that was one that was kind of like, okay, you're here now, and that was a regular gig, and you were regularly in that band, and you were regularly.
You couldn't like dip it out, kind of thing. It was like you are.
I get it kind of not really, no, not really.
You had to prioritise it a little bit more.
Yeah, because he basically, because, you know, when someone says, all right, here's a load of dates, and we're doing this throughout the year, then you think, okay.
Well, it was like 3 weeks off throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. So you just think, okay, you're off doing that. And then after that, and I was still doing, but it's still, in between, I was still doing other little projects here and there, as and when I could, you know, here and there. And then the pop thing started happening with Daniel Beddingfield.
Okay.
And I went and did that for a little while. And then the natural progression.
Rick Lee James?
Yeah, Rick was doing it before I was doing it.
Because I had him on the show when he was out with Brown, saxophone player.
Okay, yeah. So Rick was doing it just before I did it.
Right, okay.
And I came and did it after Rick. So, and the natural progression for that is then Natasha was signed, and there was this whole big deal. Daniel had an accident before his second album, and so he was out of action for a while, but then Natasha came along, and she was always hanging around us anyway.
Yeah.
She knew us. They wanted us to be comfortable, so they said, why don't you guys just step in and just take over the band duties until Daniel recovers.
Really keeping it in the family.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly how it was. It was same management and everything. That's why that happened that way. So then we went off and did Natasha's thing, and then Daniel came back and basically hired another band to come and take over. And Natasha said, "Oh well, these guys." So instead of me getting another band, he said, "I'll get another band and get some other people in." So I think one of us.
She kind of really took off in the States, didn't she?
Right, yeah. So that's basically what happened then. So all her success here, the next thing she took off in the States, and it just went. So she didn't have a band here, but a couple of us from here, she took with her to the States.
In the UK?
Yeah.
Can't be in Australia.
Or in Australia.
It is early on a Saturday morning, it's fine, you just put a gig.
Yeah, I'm still not able to, So from the UK to there, to America, So I spent a lot of time in the States, a lot of time working with a lot of American musicians.
Cool.
Yeah, and a lot of backwards and forwards, and that kind of thing.
Good.
And I did other things. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, and in between that, I did pop tours. I mean, they don't get more pop than Girls Aloud. I did a Girls Aloud tour, brief one.
Was that fun?
It's all right.
Yeah. Cool.
No. Actually, they're cool. They're nice girls, actually.
Because a lot of time in these pop gigs, like the band is pretty killer.
Yeah. The band, they were.
Some awful drummer and all
Yeah. I mean, it was on that gig. It was Tom Meadows who does Kylie's gig.
Right.
And it was Mott's Lewis who actually produced the Pixie Lott album.
Okay.
First Pixie Lott album, and the MD was David Tench, who is now the MD for The Voice in the UK.
Okay.
So it was a pretty killer. It was indeed.
So that's a pretty big shop window to have yourself in.
Yeah.
On there. So I guess then after that.
Yeah. And of course there was the Lilly thing, and there was lots of bits and pieces I've done here and there. And I'd say last time I was here, first time I came here was with Lily Allen, doing the Big Day Out festivals.
Yeah.
So there was that as well. So there was so that was my initiation into the world of pop, which is a completely different thing from what I was doing before.
And so, what have you been doing kind of since the end of the pop stuff to now? What's been
I worked
recent times?
So I worked a lot in that sort of field, and I was away a lot, and
Yeah.
there was long touring, and I think there was one year where I did I remember there was one year I did 2-3 month stints in America, and then there were also all the bits and pieces in between, so all the promos and stuff. I was hardly at home at all.
Yeah.
So when I came back, I was in no hurry to do anything really. I just kind of burnt out a bit, I suppose you'd call that, and I just kind of stayed. I just was really lazy. Just really lazy. I just stayed at home a lot of the time. I mean, I'd do bits and pieces. People say, "Oh, do you want to come and play?" But I didn't go out and go, "Hey guys, I'm back." And But also the other thing I found is that everything had changed.
Right.
Much of it had changed.
In the
Much
space
of the
of like a couple
industry,
of years.
because much of the industry. I remember myself and the guitarist within America, and I remember saying, he said to me, "You know what? My phone doesn't ring anymore."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Yeah, you're right. It doesn't. Nobody's. Maybe we thought maybe it's because they know that we're doing this and just away and what have you." But as it turns out, when I came back, it was like that was the story with many people.
Mm.
The industry had shrunk.
Less work.
And there was just simply less work.
And more people.
And yeah, because then you had all these lots of people graduating from colleges and what have you, and there were less people. The industry had changed. There wasn't as much money in the industry anymore.
Yeah.
The wages, as far as acts, if you were going out with a new act, had just pretty much stagnated. Nothing had gone up for years, and in fact, things were being cut. Bands were going out.
You kind of caught the tail end of the good time.
Yeah, exactly. I did. I caught the tail end of that part, and
Yeah.
even then it wasn't as good as it was before. But it was kind of the last bit of when it was, an okay thing to be doing. But it's not like that anymore.
Yeah.
And it's even though the industry has grown, had a little bit of a growth in the last, it's nowhere near the size of what it was 20 years ago. Like when the Spice Girls were doing their thing, there was session where there was lots of bands. Yeah, exactly. So you'd watch you used to watch, when I was doing a lot of the pop stuff, there was a lot of TV programs. So I'd be doing Top of the Pops twice a week.
Yeah.
Then you'd be doing CD UK. Then you'd be doing some MTV thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, every minute I was on the TV. And what made it even worse, I was playing with Daniel and Natasha at the same time.
Really?
So we'd be doing, exactly. So we'd be doing that, and people say, "Well, every minute I see you on the telly, all of me on, Good Morning and this and that," and I'm like,
TGI Friday.
Yeah, exactly, everything. There was so many programs, but when I came back, all of those had gone. Like there was no live music TV shows on at all. There was only Jules Holland.
Yeah.
As far as I can remember, that was about it. As far as a live, where you could actually see a live band, people just weren't interested in it anymore.
Yeah.
The whole thing had just dried up. And of course other people were telling me, it was coming back to me, even with well-established bands, and people saying, now they don't send a car to pick you up anymore, or you're not getting paid for, for this, you're not getting paid for that, and it's not,
It just makes you think how much money people at the top were making when the musicians, who are probably always getting the low end of the scale, were getting good money. Like how much were the guys at the top? Record companies and stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
must have been epic.
That's another thing, but that's another thing to get into, because how this thing works, how people, how they're giving away their music, what they knew about their rights. I think a lot of it is now people are much more savvy to that kind of thing.
Definitely.
And they're much more savvy about their publishing deals and keeping their music, keeping their rights, and making sure that they.
It's also a lot easier to write, record, produce, release,
get your music out there,
your own music,
promote it yourself,
and promote it yourself.
Yeah, which is a big part of what's going on here.
Yeah.
And that's the difference with my approach with this project, the Kamaal Williams project. It's independent.
Yeah.
It's not. They're not signed to some big record company or even an indie company.
It's just Brownstone.
No, not Brownstone. No, it's only.
Is that Yusuf Kamaal?
Yeah. That's Brownstone. So this
separate things.
Yeah.
But
it's kind
similar.
of. Yeah, I mean, Yusuf Kamaal with that project, and obviously Kamaal Williams is just, and it's just, there's a connection there, obviously, but this is on the Black Focus label.
Right.
So obviously Black Focus was the name of the first album. Now there's a Black Focus record label.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's been set up, and it's right on that label.
I saw that projected last night, and it's actually a black Ford Focus.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I didn't get that at first. I thought it was some
like,
real deep, heavy.
Yeah,
you know, like, actually, it's a
I like
black,
that kind of tongue in cheek.
yeah, actually a black Ford Focus because that's what it used to drive. You know, yeah. So yeah, which is great. But a lot of, as I say, a lot of people nowadays are much more savvy to the whole thing. Actually, in talking about bass players who give out good advice, Marcus Miller is also another one who I think gives out fantastic advice and is worth. I mean, as much as you can sit down and watch Marcus Miller doing this, you'll probably learn a lot more by just sitting down. If you could sit down with Marcus Miller over a cup of coffee, he'll probably tell you things that will save you a lot of headache.
Pretty successful businessman.
Yeah. As a businessman and understanding and giving out advice, I'd say him, Garry Willis, and Victor Wooten. Yeah, they're very good at imparting information and really putting you straight. And one of the things Marcus Miller said, he goes, now it's not enough for you to just be, you know, a bass player. Now you've got to be a producer. You've got to be writing your stuff. You've got to understand how you're going to get the band to the hotel. How you're going to, you know, you've got to wear a lot of hats. And you've got to develop different things. And don't ignore this. You've got to make sure you stay on top of your tax. You've got to make sure that you take care of all these aspects of business. Because if you don't, it's one of those things will come along and just, that'll be it. You know.
Or there's another guy who does do that all.
And the other guy will be, exactly. Yeah. So it's not always sitting back saying like, you can do a great, but if you haven't got those other hats to wear and keep an eye on those other things, you're not gonna. And these days you have to be a producer. You have to write. There's no point in, you know, even being a bass player nowadays. Nobody can be a bass player. Now I came from an era where you could be a bass player and make a living as a bass player. These days, you know, you can't just be a bass player. You've got to write. You've got to produce. You've got to get it.
I saw a lot of the young guys come through. They're probably not. They're just that all that comes with the territory of learning an instrument nowadays, or wanting to be an artist. So it's probably just all part and parcel of it. You know, because you're learning bass via YouTube, recording yourself in a GarageBand, which means you're understanding how your audio interface works. How to upload videos, how to market your own gigs, because I think that's just how it's, like you're saying.
By necessity.
By necessity. Whereas it's people who are maybe like
my generation,
my generation, a little bit older, who are having to kind of figure that out. Whereas
they've taken it as in their stride.
That's just the music.
That's just the way it is.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah. And in some ways it's much better because it's, you know, you're kind of, as I say, they're much more savvy and they kind of understand when they're signing a piece of paper, what am I signing? You know, I mean, you're saying about the people making the big money back in the day, and you know, artists kind of, you know, realizing that they're the artists and they're on the telly and they're doing all of this, but when it all comes down to the royalty checks, they're just getting some little thing. It's all them on the telly, but most of the money, you know, they get the cars sent to them. They might be staying in a nice apartment, but that's not, you know, that's all coming out of whatever money that they've made, and then they'll get their little bit at the end, and somebody else has gone off with the thing because they're the ones that wrote and produced and. They're going to get all the publishing. You know? I think younger people are much more savvy to that these days than we were.
And do you reckon there's like a real resurgence, especially in London, of like this kind of like homegrown, retro or vintage inspired kind of instrumental fusion jazz music? It seems like London's a bit of a hotbed for it just now.
It seems because I didn't really know what was going on until I got the call. I didn't know anything about Kamaal Williams.
Right. So how long have you?
About a year and a half now.
Right. Okay.
About a year and a half.
But it's been brewing for.
It's only since then that I've been sort of hanging around and kind of getting involved and going to the gigs and.
Because it seems like there's like a kind of like, you know, almost like the old rave scene, like house party, like, you know, warehouse parties kind of vibe and stuff, and just really. Yeah,
and just kind of getting to the UK scene, and then I'm seeing that there's this. And I was kind of pleased to see that there was this real sort of this great scene that was going on, because you've got people like, obviously there's people like Shabaka Hutchins and Moses Boyd, Blue Lab Beats, you know, Ezra Collective, all these UK acts that are just all just sort of, you know, and I didn't know anything about these guys until I started getting involved with this, and it's over time that I've kind of gone, oh, right, okay, this is happening, this is all UK, it's all kind of self-generating machine that's just kind of, you know, taking care of.
And they all kind of feed each other, like, you know, like I started checking out Yusef Kamaal, and through that you see these other guys and like, there's something happening.
Definitely. Definitely. You know, like I did a gig with at Ronnie's a couple of weeks ago with Tenderlonious. You know, so and he's got his whole thing going on with his own his 22A thing, and he's got that whole, and it's a whole, and he's very savvy as well. He's very businessman, very savvy, doing his own thing. Yeah. He's got 2 bands, and but he's doing his own.
So you kind of tapped into a new scene for,
big time.
Work.
Big time. Big time, and just kind of watching these guys who are just coming up, but they don't even think about, because back then everybody wanted to get signed.
Yeah.
Whereas now they.
Well, you guys just sold out venues in Australia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you need a record?
Yeah. Exactly.
You just got to look at it in a different way.
Yeah, and they do. They just automatically look at it that way, and just take care of themselves and take care of their business themselves and get the benefits from it rather than it going to someone upstairs.
So if you could kind of time warp back and give young Pete some advice, is there anything that you would maybe have liked to have told yourself back in the day?
Yeah, I would. I think I would have paid much more attention to the business.
Right.
To the business and how it works, and how publishing works, and how royalties works. And how it's split. And
do you feel like you missed out on some opportunities?
Well, it's just that you've got to understand. You've got to understand how that money is generated, and where it's going. And you got to think to yourself, you got to understand how the structure is and where it goes, and then because once you have that information, then you can place yourself at the point where the money goes. Do you know what I mean? Or put yourself you think to yourself, well, doing this is not going to get you here. You just think you're having a great time.
Yeah, but it's only a lateral movement.
Not upwards. Yeah, not upwards, and you're always going to be there, and it's always reliant on certain things. And if you want independence, then you have to position yourself over here. Yeah. And you've got to learn this craft. You've got to understand this aspect of the business. Yeah. And the business side of things, that's what I would do. I'd say, pay more attention to the business. Yeah. That's what I would do, because it is a business. It's
money's involved.
Yeah, money's involved. It's commerce. Yeah. It's business.
I think one of the guys that, just when you're talking about there, comes to mind that sussed that out crazily early was Prince.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, talk about owning your shit. He was his one man record company. Well, obviously had the issue with the record company, but he still had his own recording studio. Like, he ran the show. He didn't, produced his first album, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. He kind of had it sussed out. Yeah. And
writing and owning your material.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. To be the position of you've written the material, you own the material. Yeah. Making sure that you keep your publishing. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of info, and also this is the other thing that's different now is that this is the internet. The internet is probably, things have changed throughout the world, I would say, in the last 20 years than they have in the previous 100. And because we live in an age of information, the exchange of information, a lot of it is bad information, but there's a lot of good information as well. And it's changed ideas. And one person, we can exchange ideas and information instantly, almost for free, anywhere in the world. So the fact that you can promote yourself in Australia is largely down to that. Because back then, when I was a kid, you were growing up, you wanted to make a phone call to Australia, it would cost you a week's wages for 5 minutes. Yeah. You couldn't do that, or you could send a letter.
You have to get up at 2 a.m.
Yeah, exactly.
You get the answer phone, no.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Or send a letter, which will take about 6 months, and it may or may not get there. Do you know what I mean? It's completely different. You can speak to people in real time, for almost nothing. Yeah. And you can exchange information.
We need to take advantage of that.
Yeah, and the power to do that, and what we do with it, it's less stuff. We're all in this kind of in this days. We really do, it's overwhelming. Yeah. But there is information out there, and I think a lot of that has a lot to do with empowering people. And giving them, because most people would just get signed. They didn't understand the structure of things. They didn't understand because people didn't tell people things, and a lot of things were protected. Sure. Like in the rest of society, certain people protect their interests by not letting these people know what's up. Yep. So we're going to hold that from you. So you stay over there, and we stay up here. They're not going to share that information because we don't want your car to be as nice as ours, and you moving next door to us. You want you over there. Do you know what I mean? It's a similar sort of thing that's going on, but the internet has changed that, and there's a lot of ships
it's leveled the playing field to some extent.
Yeah, it's the greatest level ever. And saying that it's leveled things, when once you've leveled things, you might think that doesn't mean that everything you find is going to be good. Exactly. Some of the things you find are good, and some of them are really bad. But it is what it is. It's simply leveling it out. It's not doing something in your favor. Yeah. It's just telling you the way it is. and that's all it can do.
Yeah, and it's up to you to...
And it's up how you choose to exploit that information and what you do with it.
Which is it's a bit fairer.
Yeah, it is fairer. Yeah.
So what about the Pete Martin project band album?
That's kind of something, again, because I mean, obviously everybody's been sort of, and seeing all that, you don't really have an excuse not to do it. You know, there was always an excuse.
You still got to have something to say.
You still got to
have the...
You can't say, what's the point in getting an album? Then I've got to get signed. How am I going to? But really, nowadays, you don't have the excuses not to make music, because you can, if you've got all this ability, all this experience, you've got the equipment at home to do it easy enough. Do it, you know, do it. And now here I am in a situation where...
Otherwise, don't complain.
Otherwise, exactly, don't complain. If you're just going to sit there and let everybody, then you can't complain. You've got no right to complain if you're not going to get your... it's like, you can't sit there and criticise other people when they're in the arena and you're standing on the sidelines going, oh yeah, but that's not...
I could do that.
I can do that, but you're not.
It's like the modern art thing, I could do that.
Yeah, you could.
Well, that's on the wall and yours isn't.
Yeah.
So...
Something's missing in between. Yeah. That's the thing, and there's a big lesson in that.
Yeah.
There's a difference between people, what you could do and what you do. It's easy enough to turn around and say, oh yeah, no, that's so great. Yeah, anybody can do that. But the point is, they're doing it.
Yeah. So the album's coming out in March, is that right?
Don't say that, because if the guys in the band watch this now, they're going to be going, yeah, Pete, what's going on, Pete?
Yeah, Pete, what's
everybody's always kicking my ass over it. But I've definitely started making inroads.
Definitely, maybe.
Yeah, definitely, maybe. Yeah.
So do you have like a little studio set up at home?
Yeah,
or?
That's what I've been working on. Right. I cleared a room. I said, right, that room is going. Step one, clear a room. Get into a room, but only gear in it. So no bits of gear all over the place.
Yeah.
A bit of gear, a bit of there. Get it in one place. So it's all there. Get it so it's there, and you can just turn it on,
get to work.
Yeah, and get to work. And that was the plan, and I managed to do that. That was just before I've been running around doing this.
Cool.
Yeah. So my idea is just like, right, you've got to start getting, because everybody's kind of in that. There's other musicians I know who's kind of gone, right, you've got to start writing. There's just no other way to do it now.
Yeah.
You just simply can't just be playing an instrument and trying to.
But I think you also have to want to do it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, people will be able to hear that in the music.
Yeah.
I think it's just like not everybody has something worthwhile to say that people want to hear, kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you're just doing it because they think that they should do it or whatever, then people can sense that.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I'm loving sort of. It's only this year that I started doing social media as well. So, and I'm loving the whole thing. This
wouldn't have happened if
I didn't
manage to track you down on
Instagram. Instagram, because I'm on Instagram. It's the only thing that I've got. So it's just looking at the empowerment of these people that just getting their music out and playing by and
inspiring.
And just building a community, connecting with people, and having something to say. It is inspiring, big time.
So what would it be? What kind of shape is it going to take?
Now this is the thing. So it's like, and my problem is that I've got all this wealth of experience that I've kind of amassed over this time.
Yeah. Not
just in going out and gigging experience, but also music that I've heard and absorbed over all this time. And it's like I have no idea.
Okay.
Not
so
really.
You don't have like folders on your computer with like Bass Jam 1 and Idea 64 and.
I've got a few. Yeah. But they don't necessarily take the form of any kind of particular genre.
That's okay.
I'm interested in so many different things.
Yeah.
Everything from, I used to, I remember when I was sort of trying to understand music, I used to pay like £4 to go down to the festival hall, and you could go down there at lunchtime, and you could watch a classical. You can watch Prokofiev or Shostakovich or whatever. You just go in there and just check it out, and I would do that. Because I'm interested in all sorts of things.
And I think that's something that everybody should do at some point in their life, is go and see like a symphony orchestra.
Oh yeah. It's no different experience to doing that.
Here's the back of your neck.
Yeah. Different. So, and I used to just go and pay my £4 and sit at the festival and just watch these orchestras just doing their thing, because, and you'd sitting there watching a piece that lasts 45 minutes or whatever. What I mean? But I would do that. I'm influenced by so many different things. If I watch movies, I've got my movies that have got a favourite score or whatever. I like electronic music. I like, I love rock bands. Go and see everything from from metal to.
But it's all going to be filtered through you.
Well, yeah,
so
yeah.
I think it's all going to sound like.
Yeah, yeah. It's all going to come to some point and got some kind of aggregate form just to have some kind of some sort of recording. So I don't know if it's going to be what it's going to. And I'm not going to try and make it into anything.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we'll see how it goes. If I've got enough material, I can make one album that sounds like this and one that sounds like that, and fair enough. But I'm not going to try and contrive. I'm not really at this point. I'm not trying to make beating. I'm not trying to make.
I think people today are much more open to diverse styles because of the lack of attention span and the YouTube thing and that kind of stuff. Because people are used to going next, something different.
Yeah.
So having a collection of tracks that are disparate, I don't think it's going to necessarily.
It's true because people don't listen to whole albums in that way anymore.
So if it's just like, oh, this one's like drum and bassy, but that first one was real kind of ambient or whatever.
Maybe, yeah.
I think people are, because people, like you say, like the album thing is kind of not so much of a thing anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. Yeah.
It's just, you could even just do a series of singles.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
Yeah. It's much more open now. It's much more open. I mean, vinyl's kind of changed that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because of the resurgence from vinyl, but yeah, it's wide open, and why not? What's to stop you? It's not like you can just make what you like. I mean, I'm not trying to make Thriller. I'm just trying to make just make some music, put it out there.
Yeah.
And that's the goal is to get something out there. It's almost secondary to what the music is, or even the quality of the music. Almost.
The process of going through it. And
the process of going through is that's the important thing.
Yeah.
Having gone through that journey, that's.
And I found things change once you get musicians in a room. Like if you are going to, get other people involved, it's like, now it starts to sound like X, which can be good or bad.
Yeah.
It depends on how you want to go. But you've got access to some good players. So
yes. Over
exciting.
the years of sort of some people I've helped out over the years, and I'm sure I could just say, hey, you used to do this. There'd be some Definitely.
So what kind of gear are you using these days?
Like I said, I was running around with this here, my old Japanese TRB. It's a mid-90s Japanese TRB5.
Yep.
This one, and it's pretty solid and state. It doesn't move around when you fly with it, and it's just reliable and just does what it does. But I've just kind of over time I've just amassed a few.
Amassed
a couple, if that's possible. So I got what have I got? I got a couple of 70s Fenders. I got a 79 Stingray.
Natural finish?
No, Sunburst.
Okay.
Fretless.
Okay. That one's really dusty.
Yeah. I don't play that much. It's true. But fantastic sounding bass though.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But when I have used it, it's wicked. I got a 5-string Music Man. I don't know what year that is. A Stingray. Mm-hmm. Then I've got a Lakeland 5. And I've got like a Say bass 5, the one you were talking about there.
Is it like a jazz?
Yeah, it's basically a jazz bass 5. Yeah. I missed out something. I've got other bits and pieces. I got this old ESP jazz bass that I bought in the 80s, and I've got these old Bartolinis in it, these 9Ws, which I absolutely love. They haven't made them for a long time, but they sound fantastic.
Is that the ones with the pole pieces?
No, they've got it's all these are old. They've discontinued these back in the 90s. They just stopped doing them.
Those active?
Yes. Are they actually? No. Are the pickups themselves active?
Oh, and does it have a preamp?
There's no preamp.
Okay.
I've got no preamp with it. Yeah. So I guess they've just been used passive. On the Kamaal Williams album, I used that on High Roller.
Okay.
That's the bass that I use on there.
Cool.
Yeah. And that's just a 4-string jazz with the Bartolinis.
There's something about like a jazz with like EMGs or Bartolinis that it can really work.
Yeah, it can. Yeah. I've seen a few people using that combo a few times. But I got 73 jazz with maple, and that just sounds like the archetypal 70s jazz bass, which I love, that raw sort of pick up slightly back towards the bridge sound. And I got a 76p bass. What else have I got? I've got an acoustic. I've got upright bass as well.
Do you take the P bass out much?
Sometimes, yeah, a few times.
Yeah.
Not on the road as much, but I've do sessions with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's smooth. I've got flats on it.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I want that sound, if I go to a session, I'll take 2 gig bags, or 2 double gig bags, and that'll be one of the basses in
4 or 5 P.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll take the Music Man, because it's always going to do the job if that's the one. And then there's a jazz if anybody wants that slap thing. Slapping's a bit, but when you do it on a jazz bass or on a Fender, it works.
Yeah.
Slapping's cool on a Fender. Everything else, and a Music Man. Everything else, not so sure.
Yeah.
It's cool on that because it sounds like a jazz.
Yeah, the F-bass definitely works.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I'm sure there's.
So you haven't really gone into the kind of boutique Ken Smith, Federa, MTT.
Yeah, no. I used to have a Tobias.
Alembic.
No, they just don't really appeal to me. Never been my cup of tea. I used to have a Tobias Killer B back in the day.
Oh yeah.
When they first came out, so it was the original Tobias. Before they.
They were good.
Yeah. And I had that. I mean, it was all right, but I remember it had like a swamp hash. It was swamp hash, and it had an all finish on the body. And I was just like, this thing will just get beaten up too easily, And then in the end I kind of looked at it and I was thinking, you have to be really careful with it all the time.
Yeah.
So I just in the end I got fed up being careful with it. I just wanted something I could put in the bag.
Yeah. So would you say that you have like a, if you could pick one, I know it's a silly question, but if are you like a 70s jazz guy, or are you, because some guys I'm a P-bass guy, or some guys are I'm a whatever.
I'll say I'm a jazz bass guy.
Okay.
If pushed it to come up with it, because that's the but then I love the sound of a P bass, man. I would concede everything other than a P bass is a deviation.
Ooh.
Really, because it's like, okay, yes, a jazz bass is the closest thing, and it's kind of, but it is a compromise to some people. You go in when you play because a jazz bass, it doesn't sit as well as a P will always work. Yeah. That's the thing about a P bass. If you're gonna go to a session and you're gonna think, I can take one bass, or if you're gonna make a living and you can have one bass. If it came down to it,
I mean, if Pino can play it in the Who 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah, right.
And,
I mean,
D'Angelo.
Yeah.
P bass will do the job.
Yeah, the P bass will do the job. The P bass will do the job. If you're gonna have one instrument, it's gonna be that. And if you can get a good one, then a really good one, a really nice one, then it's the one to have, really. But I do love a jazz bass.
Yeah.
I do love a jazz bass. And then you start thinking, yeah, but what about Bernard Edwards' Music Man? What about that? And
so much of Bernard Edwards is Bernard Edwards.
Yeah, because he used to play a P as well, didn't he? Yeah.
But he used to play that BC Rich. You ever seen the video?
Yeah.
A BC Rich Iron Bud.
That's right. Yeah. I think the kind of, I know what you mean. Yeah. The things. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of it is that, but most of the time I'll be trying to play like a jazz bass or a jazz bass derivative most of the time.
Sure. So that's probably one of the biggest. The Yamaha's probably one of the biggest deviations that you have.
Well, the funny thing is, I didn't really, when I first played this bass, I didn't really like Yamahas at all.
Yeah.
They're not my cup of tea, and character wise, it isn't really.
Yeah.
But I got it as a kind of as a backup, and I got it in the shop. When I bought this in the 90s, as I say, it was in the shop, and I thought, this sounds. Let me just get this as a backup. And a lot of the time I'd go out. The problem, what I couldn't argue with, is that when you plugged it into the PA, it just went and just did what it was supposed to do.
The B string on that is amazing.
You just couldn't argue with it.
Last night it was just like...
Oh, really? Yeah, really, yeah. You just couldn't. I just couldn't. I just plugged it in and it just went... I just went, wow. It just did what... There was no... Because at the time I was playing Fender 5 at that time, which most of the time. And then, which I really wanted a Fender Jazz, and a Jazz 5, and I tried that. And it was... I love the Fenderness of it, but it just didn't work. You know, the instrument's got to do like anything. You know, you got something. There's the aesthetics of something, and there's the character of the sound, and then there's the functionality of the sound. And what I can't argue with this is the functionality. It does what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And there comes a point where you don't want any faffing around. You want something. You want to go in. Other people haven't got time for you to wait around and tweak and whatever they want.
I mean, you're only the bass player, right? How hard can it be?
You know what I mean? Yeah, plug-in is supposed to work. So everybody expects that. This is true.
As long as it goes.
Yeah, everybody expects that. But you go and do a session, that's what everybody expects.
Yeah.
But when it doesn't do that, everybody's like, what's the matter with you? It's a bass, isn't it? What's the matter? I don't know, mate. You plugged it in, it didn't work. What do you mean it didn't work?
This is the battery. Why do you have a battery in
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? A battery? Plugging it in? What? Have you got a mains cable? What's that about? You know, they're like, no.
Next.
So, right, they haven't got time for that. You want something that's just going to work.
Yeah.
And it does. I've got a few. Actually, most of my instruments like they're not. I don't do the boutique thing.
Yep.
They're not pretty instruments. They're not.
Yep.
They're just working. They're just
Tools.
working instrument like the Lakeland is the 5, which just works. The Music Man.
Yeah.
This and my Say bass. It's just. You know, and the other 4s are just a Fender, a Jazz and Precisions,
Yeah, cool.
basically, and they just work. I've got an old Washburn acoustic that I've not used for a long time, and some other bits and pieces that but they're all like Fender and type basses.
Yeah, inspired.
Did I
hear you stepping on some effects last night?
Last night, the simple truth is I got a
phaser and octave up or something.
Yeah. That was a phaser. That was just a phaser. One of them was just a phaser that I just played like an octave up, quite high up an octave. But I just got I've got a pedal board, but then when you're sort of running around Europe and you're traveling.
Cables and.
Yeah, and you just got it. I just thought, right, I don't want to give anything to get lost or go missing. You want to put something in your rucksack. Boom, off you go. And I bought one of those Zoom B3N, is it?
Yeah.
I think it's a B3. I got one of those.
Red.
Yeah, one of those.
Good.
And that's what it was last night.
Right.
So
okay.
I used that. And actually.
So you just programmed in some.
Yeah. Just go in there and just program some stuff, and it's practical and it. I mean, I think multi effects have come a long way.
Yeah. Especially the Zoom stuff.
Yeah, in the last few years. I mean, I was blown away by it. I was like, wow, okay. You know, the preamps aren't, but the simulator, it's pretty good. They're pretty decent. Yeah, very decent. The compressors, pretty good.
Definitely.
You know, the chorusing, great. You know, some of the pitch shift things, not so much, because normally I've got.
Doesn't track that well.
No, it doesn't track that well. But I usually use an OC2. I've got a couple of OC2s.
Yeah.
Or whatever for that kind of
Classic.
stuff. Yeah. And I've got
melt the drivers.
Yeah. I didn't bring it for this actually. I actually forgot it. I forgot. I was like, I didn't realise. But I just used an octaver from that, and that was fine.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I've got a pedal board and various bits and pieces that I've collected over the years. I've got an original Pog, the one with the big sliders. Got one of those.
Yeah.
I've got various bits of electro-harmonic stuff and just and there's a pedal called a meatball. Do you ever see a meatball?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got one of those.
Really?
Yeah. I'd never take that out though, because it's a big old thing like that. But
and they all have their own individual power supplies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can't daisy them because some of them are like 12 volts or 14 volts.
Yeah,
Stuff.
there's that as well, and it's a headache. So
Yeah.
the disadvantage is that if your Zoom goes wrong, then you've got no effects. Or something happens. But the big thing is you've got one thing you can save presets.
But also they're cheap. If it did go wrong, you just buy one and then
Right, exactly, and they're everywhere. They're really cheap.
Yeah.
Really cheap. You could just go and get one if it really happens.
I used to have the single one, the MS60B.
Yeah. I started
just a
with
little
that.
Stompbox thing. And my pedal board got stolen and that was on it. But it was great. I used it for like same thing, like chorus, delay, flange, reverbs, all that kind of stuff.
And the good thing about that pedal is that you can, as you say, you can put it on a pedal board.
Yeah.
And it will take the same
size
power.
as Stompbox and stuff.
And it'll take the same power and everything. And you've got to think of these kind of practicalities when you're going out and working. It's all well and good having your.
Yeah, I mean it's bad enough as a bass player turning up with
a pedal. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How do it? What's that? A tuner? What do you want that for?
Why break a habit?
Yeah. Why start now?
Yeah. Cool, man. So what's next after this?
I think after this, we play immediately after this. Our next thing is we've got some dates in. So we've got a couple of dates in the UK. We play London So we're playing the home crowd there. We're playing
Homecoming.
Yeah, we're playing Brixton Electric.
Oh.
Yeah, and then we play. I think we've got a date in Brighton. No, sorry. The second we play at La Cigale in Paris. So that's a big one for us. We play at a festival in Brighton on the 5th, and on the 6th we play Brixton Electric, and then we go to India.
Oh, cool.
Actually, there's some stuff in between there, but it's sort of penciled in, but I'm not sure what's happening. But we play India. We're going to India.
Been to India before?
No.
Okay.
I've been many places, but I've not been there.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's on the bucket list. Just, you want to go to India? I said, yeah.
Sure.
Let's go. Yeah. You know, like you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Christmas.
Yeah, and then next year we're looking at US.
Cool.
Yeah.
Been over there with...
Yeah, I was there all that time with Natasha, yeah.
Yeah,
but
sorry,
not with this.
Has Kamaal been over there?
I think he's... No, not with this.
Not with this.
Not with this, or with Yusuf Kamaal. I think they were supposed to go, and I don't know what happened, but it didn't happen. But they're going to be... we're looking at that now. The visa's going, for all the stuff's being
Yeah, cool.
processed now.
Yeah. And then obviously getting the solo album out in March.
See, now I'm being held to ransom. I'm going to have to... yeah.
You're first, people.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Okay,
But see, Henry's going to see this and he's going to be like,
there you go. Awesome, man.
yeah.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Craig, man.
That was great.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
Pete Martin, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you.